All right, guys, I'm going to be calling out this fence sitter, the Cavernacle, and he talks about breadtubers, right? And these are the breadtubers he's talking about. They're all feminist, and feminists are bad people. They're far right, authoritarian hate mongers. Just to prove my point, he's going to be talking about people like ContraPoints. And here she's talking about de-radicalizing incels, which means lonely men, keep your mouth shut. And here's a video where she just shits on men in general, right? And of course, he mentioned guys like Hassan. Now, Hassan, he attacked this Japanese video game, Pragmata, which all the guys loved because it shows a positive father-daughter relationship. And because he's a male feminist, he went after it. That's why. So, dude, where are you? Cavernacle. These are the kind of people you're going to try and defend. Anyway, let's get into these hate mongers.
So I released a video about the death of BreadTube on my channel this week, and the response to it was like far bigger than I would imagine. And also, what was a nice surprise is the response was actually far more positive than I'd imagined, because I've made videos on this channel calling out, or not really calling out, but like discussing other creators on the left.
They calling out, oh, sorry, not really calling out, discussing. What a cowardly thing to say. Man, are you ever trying to backtrack? Right. No, I call these hate mongers out for what and who they are.
Like Hassan, for example, and a lot of the time when
Hassan, what did I tell you? But you know, if you look at his channel, I bet he hasn't talked about this particular incident, does he? Do you, Cavernacle?
you're even just trying to be more objective and not get personal, people get really angry when you criticize people they like. But I think
You don't want to get personal? Well, I take it personally because these people are my oppressors, Cavernacle, and yours too. They hate you too because you're a man. So I take it that personally. Of course, because you're a cowardly fence sitter, you don't want to take anything personally. Right.
with this one, I just said something a lot of people had been feeling, and I've had like a lot of messages, people saying that they felt this for a long time, and that's been cool to see that a lot of people, not just myself, had recognized this sort of failure with left-wing politics on YouTube, and in a way, the six.
Well, it's a failure because they're not left wing. Feminists aren't left wing. They're not progressive. They're a regressive hate movement. They can never be progressive or left wing. So they're not failing. They are succeeding at their far right movement.
Success of the evolution of left-wing politics on YouTube, where the previous generation weren't great on this, talking about Israel and Palestine, but there's like a new generation that has formed out of that are really good and have a massive reach now as well. I thought my argument's pretty good.
Well, I suspect they're new people who, let's face it, they have nothing to lose, so they can choose the right side. But I bet none of them actually choose the men's side. They're probably not anti-feminist.
I even got the girlfriend seal of approval. She told me it was good as well. And
Well, good thing you need a woman to tell you what to do.
in the video, I spent the first half talking in broad strokes and the second half focusing on three creators: PhilosophyTube, Hbomberguy, and ContraPoints. Not because they were like the worst offenders, just because they're three of the biggest creators, and I just wanted to illustrate my point and how.
Wow, they're not the worst, but they're the biggest. Why didn't you go after the worst? Because if you go after the biggest, it gives more eyes on your channel.
How we've moved
But
past
I disagree. They're all feminists, so they are the worst.
the kind of space they've created. But of course, this video did get a lot of traction and a lot of people saw it, and I did get a lot of annoying comments as well. Although the sentiment underneath the video was overwhelmingly positive, which, like I said, I couldn't really imagine before uploading it, there were annoying people, and I actually saw in the comments someone literally just said before I went live that ContraPoints actually put out a statement on Israel and Palestine, and then I went on the subreddit and saw my video had also been shared there, and there's
I looked at this video, guys, and ContraPoints, of course, was actually siding with the Israelis. She just didn't want to admit it. And you don't want to admit it either, Tabernacle. Natalie Wynn is an elitist. She's a wealthy elite. So of course she's going to support the whoever's in power and with the money. She doesn't have any principles beyond that.
criticism on my video on this subreddit, so I want to kind of address a lot of that because the fundamental point of my first video, and this is going to be like a bookend in terms of I don't want to talk about this anymore, but the point was mainly an analysis of the evolution, right?
You don't want to take the heat. Well, I can take the heat. I'll talk about it as much as I like, you weakling.
I didn't want these creators to suddenly turn around and say, well, here is my position and here are my thoughts. That's what
Really, you don't want them to do that? To actually show what they think? That's very cowardly. Because I'd love these people to expose themselves. Actually, they did. You just don't want to admit it.
ContraPoints has done. I don't think it's necessarily a direct response to my video. I think it's a response to maybe my video combined with loads and loads of leftists on Twitter primarily asking her to
Yeah, you're too small fry for her to stoop to actually talk to you directly, dude.
clarify her positions, and she's finally made it after maybe, this video is posted in the subreddit or whatever. But I didn't necessarily want that because I was also saying in the video, if you hadn't made a statement or even spoke about this or done anything, like, we just all know you don't really care. And I actually want to read her statement because I don't think it's very
They care. They're on the side of the winners, the side of the people with the money and the power. You have to claim that they don't simply care. Just then you would have to really call them out. And you're beneath that.
very good and actually illustrates what I suspected, and that is a lot of lib leftists centering identity when talking about things like Zionism. And they must be in like these bubbles where they actually know people who might be Israeli or they might have some sort of sympathy with the state of
Yeah, they're part of the power structure. They come from people with wealth. That's right. They are in a bubble which you and I are too poor to belong to.
Israel. Because
What they call it? The top 1%?
the way they speak about it is just really bizarre, and it seems to bring
It's not bizarre, dude. They have to dance and prance because they're on the wrong side and they don't want to admit it. But they can't turn around and definitely say they're not on that side. They'd get in trouble. Nothing is bizarre about this. It's only bizarre to you because you get your head in the sand.
out like the worst of lib identity politics, where you're really trying to empathize with everyone and understand their lived-in experience.
No, no, no. These hate mongers have zero empathy. You really think ContraPoints had empathy for men when she made that disgusting video about incels 7 years ago, or men 6 years ago, crapping on men? These feminists are anti-empathy, dude.
Which is obviously good in a lot of circumstances, but when you're applying it to people who have grown up in an apartheid state and might be offended at Western leftists and just general people being against that state existing, even vocalizing that is just never helpful to this discussion because why are we even talking about that right now? And that kind of plays into some of the criticism I got. where people said I was like downplaying anti-Semitism and shit like that. And when, I really wasn't. I was just talking about
Yeah, they were trying to shut you up, dude. You were coming close to what the real issue is, but you're too cowardly to go all the way. They were trying to shut you down.
left-wing anti-Semitism specifically and focusing on that, like at this time, seems to be the weirdest focus ever. Because firstly, that's what the
It's not a weird focus. They're derailing.
establishment are labeling everyone who is anti-Israel at this point. But also, it's just not something that has institutional power, and it really isn't an issue on the left. Like, it's not 1952 in
What do
like
you mean it's not an issue on the left? You either stand for what's right or you don't.
the communist bloc or something like that. There is just not a significant strain of anti-Semitism in the Western left, specifically online. But yeah, I want to talk about all this today. I want to address the comments. I want to clarify a few arguments. People saying I was being uncharitable because Philosophy Tube has said something and there has been a fundraiser.
Now watch that video. Philosophy Tube didn't say anything. I should bring it up, that one he showed earlier. Right.
And maybe I didn't see it because it was in a podcast description, that a movie podcast that doesn't come up when you search her channel or search her name. So I want to talk about
If Philosophy Tube was actually against it, she would have said it by now, openly and without any vagary to it. No vagueness to it.
that as well because people are mad about that. But yeah, this is just to serve as me addressing the criticism, and then unless something like crazy happens or whatever, I'm just not really going to talk about this as a specific video. Like, I don't mind bringing it up again in various other things, but this is serving as not even part two. It's just like a response to how the video was received. All of that coming up for you today. Follow me on social media.
No, I won't. Let's see. I think this one, ContraPoints. Let's try and get into
A lot of
ContraPoints.
controversy around her recently, and all of her like tweets on Israel and Palestine, even saying that leftists and people wouldn't like what she thinks about it. And I think she was right about that because we're going to read it. Now, when I saw this statement, I just went onto the top upvoted posts on the subreddit, and mine had been shared from the BreadTube subreddit itself. So I'm going to go through that after this. But this is her statement, right? So previously, people have been mad because she'd been talking about left-wing anti-Semitism. Some of the numbers she was saying around the death toll, people didn't like as well, and I criticized that as
You know
well.
something? Let's get to this video that he was talking about, and we'll see what she had to say. Right. All right, ContraPoints. Let's see what she had to say. Oops, sorry. Get that back up. There we are.
People in the comments because of your parasocial relationship, just rethink your argument and apply it to if it was someone you didn't like. And apply it to if maybe it was me, because you might not like my videos and like my content. So maybe ask yourselves, if I didn't talk about it, what would you say? But
Well, I don't particularly like your videos since you're such a cowardly fence sitter, but go on.
let's talk about the recent discourse that actually inspired me to make this video in the first place. So, like I said, the BreadTube subreddit is seriously debating whether they should completely ban ContraPoints posts because of what she's been saying about Palestine recently. So a lot of
Yeah, she's exposing herself. She was never left wing. Feminists aren't. Feminist man haters. They go for whoever's in power. They're far right.
BreadTubers, not just the ones we're talking about, they don't say anything. Maybe they'll share a little meme here and there. Maybe they'll share a little meme about the IDF, share some post maybe about, Jeremy Corbyn made a
Yeah.
speech. But ContraPoints has actually spoke about some of this. And there's just like tweet exchanges I've seen her been making. And this is the one that prompted the controversy originally. So she replied to someone saying, I'm not defending Russia in any way, but the US is a white settler colony that is currently bankrolling another colony's ethnic cleansing. If that isn't uniquely evil in 2025, and I don't
Hey, this guy, Schizo Man, why isn't he defending Russia? Russia didn't do anything wrong. It's fighting a war against the United States. That Ukraine is just a proxy for the United States. They're allowed to defend themselves against the United States. Cavernacle.
know what it is. Killing 60,000 people is probably the worst atrocity of the last 2 years, but in the scope of modern history, it is unfortunately far from unique. I'm not
See that? She doesn't. She wants to actually. God, this is pathetic.
going to debate the death toll with you, but you very well know there's a uniquely racial component to the Palestinian genocide. It is by far the most extreme example of white supremacy in the 21st century. Without making any excuses for what Israel is doing or has done, I don't think white supremacy is the best framework for understanding the ideology behind it. So
Ashley Wynn is right about that, right? It's not white supremacy necessarily.
beyond like maybe like the contrarian nature of discussing this, why people are mad at that is because she says, and this is in the middle of June 2025, that 60,000 people have been killed in Gaza. This number is so outdated. Bernie Sanders has been saying similar. I remember when it was like at 40,000 officially. Everyone was saying 40,000. And there's been reports, I think, that are nearly a year old that have said it's close, it's over 100,000 and it's probably closer to 200,000.
Yeah, so she's making excuses, right? That's right.
So people are mad because they're like, how can you say 60,000? Like, you know it's higher than that.
Right. So she's a liar, isn't she? So whose side is she on? She's not neutral, dude.
Saying that is just playing into the US government's official tallies and just basically helping whitewash the crimes. And even saying that,
Well, there you go. What conclusion should you come to, Cavernacle?
like, it's the worst crime of the last 2 years. I mean, what was the one 2 years ago that was worse? Like, obviously, what Russia has been doing in Ukraine is absolutely terrible.
No, no, it isn't, dude. You're terrible. Russia is defending itself from the United States. Russia hasn't been doing anything terrible. They didn't start this war. Who are you to say such a thing? Now I know you're a bad person.
But even compared to that, more children have been killed in Palestine.
Okay, now let's check out Philosophy Tube. Notice it's much smaller. Philosophy Tube, such a bum.
Another creator, Philosophy Tube, has also not really said anything. There is a small reference to Gaza about 20 minutes in a video about how death.
If they're not saying anything, Cavernacle, it's because they're on the wrong side. Because if they were on the right side, they'd be trumpeting it everywhere.
Changes your perspective, but she lumps that in with like the COVID pandemic and climate change as like these mass death things. So it's not very specific. It's like a throwaway line. And then I was just looking what like their audiences thought. So
Yeah, she's pretending she's a good person when she isn't. She's trying to virtue signal while supporting the wrong side. She doesn't want to get herself in trouble.
I just went on the Philosophy Tube subreddit. I typed in Gaza. Someone posted a year ago. This could be even longer, like a year and a half ago. Just curious because I haven't seen any mention of it on her Twitter, despite her left-wing politics that feature heavily in her videos. I know many
Well, she doesn't have left-wing politics, dude. She's a far-right hate monger. That's what feminists are, Cavernacle.
popular leftist creators haven't been talking too much about it, but I know people like ContraPoints have at least done a retweet tweet or two expressing their views on it. Anything from Abby. Someone replied, I think it's
Or she's being silent on it.
worth noting that Abby is a professional actor and making a capital S statement with
She is a professional actor. Really, since when? What movies has she been in? I've never seen any. Are there movies for trans women? You know, do they have parts for trans women? Not many. She's a professional actor. Right. Okay, finally, this H-bomber cretin.
and accept that people are going to judge them for it because it's perfectly a fine thing to do that if you prioritize career over principles. But there's just the caveat with these people.
Her principle is to join the winning side, the side with power and wealth. So she's holding on to her proper principles. You just don't recognize what they are.
Of course, she's talented in her own right as an actress.
Really? I've never seen any parts. She said, I don't know what you're talking about. Now you're virtue signaling and bootlicking and ass kissing.
But at the same time, you did become famous through this crowd-funded YouTube channel talking about left-wing politics and morals, specifically even making videos about
Lacks morals, dude. She doesn't have any.
Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. People are right to maybe be upset if they're fans of yours that you don't talk about these things. So finally, let's move on to just a third creator I want to talk about. So Hbomberguy doesn't even release videos pretty much. The last one was like a year and a half ago. There's Patreon exclusive videos about Oreos or something. I think I saw people have been asking on his subreddit for a while, like, you think he's going to make a video on Gaza? It's pretty clear he's not going to make one. And this post here says, he seems to care about the subject. It'd be great to see him present the facts in a video, for it might land his channel in the drama void. I would really doubt that.
So it's drama. Hey, notice this is a drama void. Right, right. So something as important as the Palestinians getting zapped, that's just drama. You see the cretins that I have to deal with? This is the type of person who would tell another person to touch grass. And they call anything that with real importance drama.
It's fine if he doesn't cover it, probably easier for him. It's depressing, but it has been getting more and more obscure, and it would be a crime to let such an important issue fade from the public view. So people got really funny with me because when it started, he put out like some terrible statement about how he couldn't say anything because he doesn't know enough and it wouldn't be helpful.
He doesn't know enough, and it wouldn't be helpful. He can research it and find out. No, he doesn't want to get himself in any trouble. You know, he's a male feminist, Tabernacle. He has no principles. Okay. Now, I don't know if I need to cover any more of this. Here, let me just pause it for a minute. Oh, by the way, Tabernacle, I'm going to be watching this soon. Go ahead. Men goon to you, responding to Hassan's meltdown. Right. Remember, he's the guy who attacks men because they love this video game with a positive father-daughter relationship. These are the kind of people that you are talking about. Now, please go on. Sorry, bring that up again. Dang it. Okay.
Person who would write something like that who doesn't support the state of Israel. You know, no wonder she probably didn't want to say anything because she knew most people on left-wing YouTube wouldn't like this. But I didn't actually call this person out in the first video, and I don't think they're like ContraPoints at all.
Yeah, but why would you call out anybody? Remember, you're just having a discussion. You don't call people out, dude.
But I was, because people commented in the video, like, are you talking about Jesse Gender? I wasn't talking about Jesse Gender in my video about this, but then because people said that, I did go and research what even this controversy was, and it's about a video she made about like left-wing anti-Semitism. There's a bit in the
that you researched, but Hbomberguy doesn't. He's not going to talk about this situation that might get himself in trouble. He just doesn't know enough. It's impossible for him to research.
Video where she talks about like how not wanting to have like IDF veterans in your organization or at an event you're hosting is like actual anti-Semitism because people don't have their choice in Israel.
And this then leads to her denouncing
this bad empanada guy. By the way, he's a grifter as well, Tabernacle. He's not supporting Palestine because he has principles. He just went, where's the wind flowing? And said, okay, this is the proper side to be on. That's all.
boycotts of IDF service members.
There have been examples of leftist groups seeking to ban Israeli Jews from events simply due to their service within the IDF, something that is required for all Israeli citizens living in Israel, regardless of whether they believe in Israel's military mission or not. To then target these Israelis for being in the IDF is just indiscriminately targeting Israeli Jews rather than checking out what they actually believe or are fighting for currently, which many Jews...
See there? She's making excuses. right? She's making excuses. So Jessie Gender, she's a typical LGBT feminist. She finds out who has the power and the money, and that's who she supports, and hoping they'll support her.
then experience as anti-Semitism.
It did come from this place of you are centering their feelings and their identity and how they feel as this identity, which is just insane considering what they're doing. You wouldn't do that with like any other group of people, but it's like this liberal brainwashing we've had in the West because of how we.
They're making excuses, dude. They're not brainwashed. You're brainwashed. They know exactly what they're doing. Though I suspect you're not that brainwashed either. You're just cowardly.
Focus on World War II and how we even talk about anti-Semitism, which makes a lot of leftists who might care about intersectionality, which.
Well, what are you talking about left, what is it? Anti-Semitism. This is anti-Zionism. Why aren't you using the proper term? Why are you giving in to their framing?
Brainwashing we've had in the West because of how we focus on World War II and how we even talk about anti-Semitism, which makes a lot of leftists who might care about intersectionality, which we all should, makes them.
No. Intersectionality. What? No, we should. Intersectional feminists are man-haters. They're sexist. And I don't support bigots, dude. I do care about them. I care to stop them.
Overly going the other direction. Now, Jessie Gender is like so much better on this issue than ContraPoints. I'm not even trying to draw a parallel between them because I've watched her coverage and I've heard her speak about Palestine, and I don't think she's a Zionist in any way, but I do think both of them share the similar sentiment of, I assume both of them are not Jewish, and because they're not, they're like deferring to Jewish people they know who might be Zionist and saying, because of my identity, I believe this, and that's what.
I wouldn't defer to anybody. If I see something's wrong, I just say it.
They're like taking from it. And like I said, that can be helpful with some things, not really helpful when we're talking about people who sign up to be in apartheid militaries. Like, you wouldn't do that with white South Africans, would you? Like in the.
Right. But maybe they would. If the white South Africans were in charge and had the money and the power, maybe they would. Tabernacle. I mean, they're far-right authoritarians. They probably agree with the white nationalists of South Africa.
1980s. So why?
Remember, feminists, they hijack other movements like Marxism and anti-racism.
Why would you do it with Jewish Israelis in 2025? It just makes absolutely no sense. But anyway,
when these feminists are attacking men, they don't care what the race of the man is. Dude.
Video was actually posted on the ContraPoints subreddit. I want to get into some of the response to it because it was a lot more critical than my general comment section, because I imagine that, you know, if
responding to haters, was it wrong about philosophy tube? BreadTube failed on Israel. No, they didn't. Dude, BreadTube did not fail on anything. These far-right hate mongers, they side with the other haters. These feminists want to side with power and wealth. They succeeded. Anyway, I think I've done enough damage. You, dude, you're just a cowardly fence sitter. I have nothing but contempt for guys like you.